Hey there, all you beautiful Texans. You're listening to The James Show. It's News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Welcome back to the big show. This is going to be a weird show. It's going to start off normal, but in the second hour, it's going to take a turn that we don't normally cover on the show. Just want to warn you. We'll do all the serious political stuff first, though. I mean, there's some important stuff we got to get you caught up on. I mean, obviously, it's now 70 days. Isn't that what it is? Let me ask my phone. How many days until November 5th? Yeah, she said 70 days. So 70 days until the election, and everyone goes and makes the most important decision we have every 4 years. Back on the show, Ashley Hike's going to be my first guest from America First Works. And we have, the nominees have been set. The conventions are all done. And now I think the latest scuttlebutt was there was some shaky rule changes to the first debate. What happened there, Ashley?
Well, one thing that we know for sure is that Kamala Harris absolutely does not want to debate Donald Trump. And why would she? She has not talked to the press. It's been 37 days since she took over with no interview. She has not explained any of her positions. Instead, she has put out surrogates that are changing positions for her. But we actually know that she's by far so much more radical than Joe Biden and most of the Democrats in office. And so I think that the reason she wants to change the rules is because she knows her policies are terrible. She wants to be able to interrupt President Trump. She wants to make the debate just a complete clown show. And quite frankly, I think that this is her way of saying, well, if you don't abide by these rules, then I can just get out of the debate altogether. She doesn't want to debate at all. So if she changes the rules, then she'll say, well, see, if you don't go with these rules changes, then it's your fault that we're not going to debate. It's more of the same of the jokes and just the mockery that this woman is making out of this election cycle.
Right. Well, you hinted at the rule change there. For those of you who haven't been keeping up as much as myself and Ashley, Kamala Harris wanted to change the rule that said the microphone's going to be muted when it's not your turn. She's like, no, I don't want that. I want the microphones to be unmuted. And so Trump said, fine, I didn't want them muted in the first place. I don't understand. Why does she want them unmuted? Wasn't that an advantage to her?
I honestly think that she's trying to make little subtle changes, hoping that President Trump will not debate her. Originally it was agreed that the rules would be the same as the debate between President Trump and Joe Biden. I think she wants to be able to interrupt President Trump when he's speaking, when he's calling out her radical record, and she wants to be able to just interrupt and make it a scene.
Yeah, but those rules were silly. Like the whole idea of, well, we can't have a crowd in the room. That would be too distracting. Kamala Harris isn't in the early stages of dementia. She doesn't need the crowd to be gone. So I'm kind of surprised that she wanted those rules to begin with. And then here she is changing a couple of them. Yeah.
And I think part of the issue, too, is like I don't think she's comfortable with the large crowd. I think she needs to have a teleprompter or note cards, or she's not a smart woman. She has not been successful in anything. She's never actually received her own votes to be president. That's very apparent. She had to drop out when she was running for president legitimately the first time. So this is a woman who needs all the advantages and all the, aid as much as possible. If you look back and you remember, if you watched Tulsi Gabbard debating Kamala Harris, she was destroyed. And so I think Harris believes if she can try and control how the debate is run, it will give her an advantage. I think that's where this is just kind of an act. It's a joke. And President Trump he's so on point. He's on message. He's incredibly disciplined. He's very focused. So I think this is going to be very interesting. By the way, what I'm referencing is she wants to be seated with a cheat sheet. So she wants to be able to have her notes in this debate. So that was another one of the rule changes.
Yeah, and actually we just got a message on Facebook. My friend Ann says she also wants note cards. Okay.
Yep.
Let her have note cards. Well, what do you say, Ashley? We're okay with that, aren't we?
I mean, she needs them. Because,
right.
She's had her surrogates go out and speak on one way, but her record is very, very different. And she's not going to be able to answer any questions or really know what her surrogates have been saying without any sort of note cards. She hasn't, I started mentioning she hasn't mentioned ending cash bail for violent criminals. She hasn't been able to talk about how she wants to abolish private health insurance. She has said that Bidenomics is working. She's going to need her note cards to know how her surrogates have spun all of the horrific policies that she has advanced as an attorney general in California, as U.S. Senator, as Vice President of the United States.
Well, this should be a good debate then.
Yeah, it'll be entertaining. The other piece is just for your listeners, both candidates being seated, having notes, no muted microphones. Again, I really do think that she wants to be able to say, President Trump doesn't want to do the debate now. I think that's what she's hoping and praying. But we know Donald Trump, and he will show up anytime, anywhere, and he's ready.
Well, and on the schedule, though, there's only 2 debates. There's 3 total, 2 between Kamala and Trump, and then 1 with the VPs. So there's really only 2.
Yeah, that's right.
That's all she's got to get through.
And here's the other piece of this. They're kind of late. Fortunately, they're not too late like the last ones, but September 10th, first of all, go back and look at what happened with Joe Biden. It was so bad that he was forced out of the race. So now we already have people that are requesting absentee ballots. We're seeing more conservatives request absentee ballots in states like Pennsylvania than Democrats. Early voting starts the following week in Pennsylvania. She better hope that she does incredibly well because people will be voting at this point in time. And she's pretty much an unknown. I've mentioned before, we have people on the ground in, our target battleground states. And what we're hearing at the door is from Democrats, lifelong Democrats, they're not sure if they want to show up for her because they know how radical this is.
The party. What you're describing has a lot of similarities with the exact same position Obama was in 2008. He had never held a real job in the private sector. He had no accomplishments under his belt. He didn't build a business. He didn't get any important laws passed. There's no record really there. He only had 2 years in the Senate before he got carted off
That's the difference, though. She has a record. He did not. She served she started as a San Francisco prosecutor. She ended up being the Attorney General of California. She served as a U.S. Senator. As a U.S. Senator, she was one of the most radical U.S. senators in the country. She was rated the most progressive. She was in the room for the botch with Afghanistan withdrawal that killed our service members. She was the deciding vote on the so-called Inflation Reduction Act. This woman has a very long record. Just in the last 3 years, the decisions she has made has economically, from a security position, financially, even national security, hurt our families, have hurt our country. She can't run away from that record. Whereas Obama had served 1 term, he didn't have a long record. She does. That's the big difference. She is so far from an Obama. She's not an eloquent speaker. She talks about joy, but joy is not paying $8 for your orange juice. They may talk about her vibes, but vibes don't bring votes to candidates. She's got a massive uphill battle, and we're already starting to see that in the polling.
Ashley, you're fired up today. You on a Red Bull or something? What'd you do?
Too much coffee, I guess.
Right. How do they find you outside of the James Show on WBAP, Ashley?
We are at America First Works, and really quickly, I think I mentioned this last time, we have a program called Red, Right, and Win through America First Works, and we want women, especially women in states like Texas and California, to talk to women in some of the battleground counties on why their vote matters this election cycle. So you can sign up for that on americafirstworks.com, and women are going to be absolutely critical to this election. So we need more women who care about saving the country involved.
Thank you very much, Ashley Hayek, America First Works. Thanks for being on the James Show again. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Any comments on how the debate stage is set? You'll hear from Donald Trump. He made a post on Truth Social about the debates. I'll read that for you coming up in 5 minutes on the James Show. If you want to jump in on the conversation, 800-288-9227, 800-288-9227. Do you think Kamala's even going to go to the debates? Does she even need to? Will she get destroyed? 800-288-9227. I'm James Parker. It's News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Welcome back to the James Show, News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. So the September 4th debate is not going to happen. That was the first one that was scheduled for Fox News, but we can't have Kamala agree to a Fox News debate. So we do have the one September 10th that she has agreed to. There's another one scheduled after that that's supposed to be on NBC. She hasn't confirmed that either. So we're looking at the minimalist approach, which you can make fun of it if you want. It worked in 2020. It worked. Some of the same tactics that were used for Obama in 2008. They worked. It's not like she's getting her butt kicked. They're really close in the polls. She doesn't need to talk to the media. I know you want her to talk to the media because, it could tank her campaign. I mean, you're kind of hoping it. But she doesn't need it. Apparently, she has half the country supporting her. They don't care. They don't care where she stands on these issues. They don't care if she answers any questions. They don't care about her policy or her platform. They're just the never Trump vote. Isn't that amazing? If you can whip up emotion, if you can whip up hatred, you can have half the country vote for a candidate that was just put in front of them. She didn't go through a primary process. She didn't go through a caucus. She didn't go through a press conference. They just put the vote up, just gave her to you. There wasn't they didn't take like a roll call at the convention, and they had to go to the second, third vote, fourth choice, and finally at 1:30 in the morning they came to a consensus and they just gave her to half the country, and they're okay with it. And it's not that they like Kamala, it's that they've been trained to hate Trump. And I say that they've been trained to hate Trump because they don't actually hate Trump. I have to remind myself sometimes that, these people on TV that I see that tick me off so bad. I know that if me and Rachel Maddow went to the bar together, we would get along and have a good time. We would probably be good friends, right? But if we don't actually hate these people, we don't even know these people. And for all these people that hate Trump now, did they hate him anytime before, 2015? Because if that's a new thing, if you knew him your entire life and you were okay with him your entire life, but then you just started hating him in 2015, well, you were groomed. So Trump, enthusiastic about the debates, can't wait for it. The last one went so good, his opponent had to drop out. So, he's licking his chops at a debate. He posted on Truth Social at Real Donald Trump. It says, "I have reached an agreement with the radical left Democrats." And it capitalizes that too. I have a friend who does it. My friend Michael, he just randomly capitalizes words. He's real generous with commas unnecessarily too. He and Trump have the same picadillos when it comes to grammar. But radical left Democrats for a debate with Comrade Kamala Harris. It will be broadcast live on ABC Fake News, by far the nastiest and most unfair newscaster in the business, on Tuesday, September 10th in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. The rules will be the same as the last CNN debate, which seemed to work out well for everyone except perhaps crooked Joe Biden. The debate will be stand up, and candidates cannot bring notes or cheat sheets. We have also been given assurance by ABC that this will be a fair and equitable debate, and that neither side will be given the questions in advance. And then in parentheses, he put, "No, Donna Brazile." For those of you that don't know, in 2015, maybe it was 2016, Donna Brazile gave the questions to a CNN town hall to Hillary Clinton because she wanted her to beat Bernie Sanders. Bernie Sanders is winning. He continues. "Harris would not agree to the Fox News debate on September 4th, but that date will be held open in case she changes her mind or flip-flops," first letters capitalized again, "as she has done on every single one of her long-held and cherished policy beliefs. A possible third debate," capitalized for some reason, "which would go to NBC Fake News, has not been agreed to by the radical left. God bless America." Okay, so a couple of conflicting points here. My first guest, Ann in the Facebook comments, said that Kamala Harris wants notes. Is she going to get that? Because he just said there's no notes. I'm sure he'd be okay with it, just anything to get her to the debate. But that's going to be interesting to see how much she leans on those notes. And if she leans on it too much, I mean, is there any point to where the Kamala supporters would let her go from reading too much? Probably not. They just don't want her to do as bad as Joe Biden and have to drop out. But so it looks like right now we only have one debate on the schedule between Kamala and Trump. Kamala has no interviews, no press conferences, no town halls, none of that thing where you stand on the tarmac outside of your plane or your bus or your helicopter and just take random questions from the media. When she goes to events, she doesn't take random questions. She is going to try and run what is probably the most silent campaign you've ever seen in your life. Donald Trump, look, I'm glad he's enthusiastic about this whole debate thing, but try not to tick off ABC too bad before you go into their arena. When you call them ABC fake news, by far the nastiest and most unfair newscaster in the business, it's the same feeling I have when I go to like youth sports games and people are yelling at the refs, whether it's a soccer game or a baseball game or a football game. I have to remind my fellow moms and dads, can we not tick off the refs, please? They're kind of making important decisions that would determine the outcome of the game. Oh, look, Fox News just put up the post I just read from Donald Trump. Haha, I beat you by like 4 minutes. Take that. So that's the setting we have. The table is set. The scene is set. We're going to get probably just one debate, September 10th. Yes, I am making bingo cards. Yes, I will add the words weird. What's the other one I have to add? Joy. I have to add joy. What else I got to start thinking about that. You know, I only have like 2 weeks to come up with the proper bingo card. So maybe we'll do a show on that Friday. I'll take your recommendations for the bingo sheet. That was such a success in June when we did that for Trump and Biden. I had a couple of my bingo cards actually crossed all 5 off in a row, and had a couple of winners there. All right, coming up next, we're going to talk to a small business consultant and talk about how much they're getting crushed by inflation. You know, if you own a small business, even if your profits are up, you can buy less with it. And for some people, this is the difference between staying in business and going out of business. Oh, Walmart will be fine. Exxon will be fine. IBM, the giant corporations, they'll figure it out. But it's the little guys with just one cash register at a time. How do they get through this? We'll talk about that next on The James Show. News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Hey there, welcome to The James Show. News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Small business owners, I don't know how you're getting by. I don't know, because the cost of everything is going up, and you can only raise your prices so much before your fickle consumers start to fight back. And look, big corporations, they can weather this. They have the economies of scale. But how does the little guy survive in this high inflation? Let's ask a guy who deals with such issues for every day. Dave Charest, the director of Small Biz Success, is on The James Show. And I know it sounds easy to say, well, I sure do care about the small businessman out there. But how do we actually get him some help? What can he do to survive?
Yeah, James, thanks so much for having me on. You know, a few things we found, you know, to your point just about how people are feeling right now, particularly small business owners. Constant Contact did a 2024 State of Small Business Marketing report. And the two things that we saw were that small businesses were feeling uneasy about the economy and their marketing efforts. And I think these two are interrelated, and I'll tell you a little bit about that. But 81% of the people that we talk to feel nervous about the state of the economy. Likely due to things like inflation, price sensitivity. We have an election coming up, of course. All of that uncertainty kind of makes people feel a little bit nervous about things. We have a follow-up survey that we're just in the process of looking through now, but some of the things that people were doing specifically in regards to inflation, cutting back on expenses, of course, increasing their prices where they need to, and then really looking to improve their operational efficiency. So those are the top things that they're really trying to do to kind of battle this thing. Now, the other piece of it is I think is really important, particularly when you start, you know, looking at small business owners and small businesses in general. And, you know, you mentioned kind of the bigger businesses can kind of weather this. Well, it's really important for small businesses to really stay in touch and communicate with their customers to keep their businesses top of mind, so that when consumers who are also going through this as well, right, are really ready to spend their dollars, that they're going to think of the small businesses first. The interesting thing here that we found out as the second part of the survey, of course, is that small businesses, really, they know that marketing is crucial, and they're really spending some time to think more about it. But they actually don't have a lot of time to really think about it or do it right because of all the hats that they're wearing and all the other issues that they're dealing with. So 56% of people told us they have less than an hour a day to devote to the marketing due to all those other hats that they have to wear. And when they are doing things, they're really actually not sure if their marketing strategy is effective. 73% of the people said that. And then, the reality is most business owners are marketers by trade, business owners by trade and marketers by necessity, right? And so they're actually not even sure what they're doing. So because of that, they end up actually putting it off, and that ends up hurting them in the long run.
Insane. Listen, like the viewpoint I take is if you own a small business, you are in marketing, if you want to be successful, you're going to be in marketing. That's just part of it.
That's exactly right. It's part of the thing. So what is a small business owner going to do, right, in these situations? And I think it's important to a couple of things, right? One, I think take advantage of free educational resources that are out there, right? So, for example, Constant Contact, we offer free marketing webinars, guides. We have a podcast, all of these things that can really point you in the right direction so you know what needs to be done. Even if you're not going to do it yourself and you decide, okay, I might be able to have somebody come in and assist with this, you have to know how to do it, though. You need to know what's working so you're not getting kind of ripped off by somebody else just trying to take advantage of the situation, right? I think the other thing that's really important to do is really invest in tools that are designed to help boost your marketing performance. And so, we at Constant Contact really believe that we want our customers to be successful because of their product, right? Not because of their marketing expertise. It's something that they have to do. And so really our goal is to help them automate that as much as possible so they can get more results while getting back to what it is that they would rather be doing. I think one of the things when it comes to marketing too is that people will often fall onto social media as a way to do that. And I think it's just one of the tools in your toolbox, but it's not something that you want to rely on solely. Just because all of that is run by algorithms, right? You don't own the audiences that you're talking to. Just because you post something doesn't mean somebody is going to see it. And so really what you need to do is you need to use that in conjunction with other tools such as like email or SMS, for example, so that you own that customer relationship. You have a way to reach your customers directly. And then I think
when you said SMS, you just meant like a regular text message?
Text marketing, right? Having a mobile number so you can reach out to somebody, and you get their attention directly, right?
Well, you're using industry jargon. I don't want you to leave anyone behind.
Absolutely.
Dave, when are you going to get to the point on how amazingly successful your business will be if you advertise on a talk radio station?
Well, I think that's a great point. And if you've got a local community conversation that you can have and reach those people, I think that's a great idea, James.
Thank you very much.
But I think the big thing here, though, is really no matter what you're doing, even through these tough times, right? Small business owners have shown us again and again that they're resilient, and the economy is going to go up and down, and this will come back again, right? And so I think it's really important to make sure that you're always having a plan in place to communicate regularly, because that consistency is really going to keep the business top of mind. So again, when people go looking and they're ready to spend their money or do those things, they're going to think of your business first. Or when somebody asks them if they know someone that does the thing that you do, they're going to think of you first as well.
Dave Charest, how do they find you outside of the James Show?
You can check us out at constantcontact.com, and you can find me at davecharest.com.
No one knows how to spell that.
DAVECHAREST.com.
All right. Everyone knew the Dave part. Thank you very much, though. All right. You're a great guest. We'll have to have you back on. Dave Charest, everybody. CHAREST.com. All right. Coming up next, you're going to hear the next ad that came out from one of the presidential campaigns. It's a little 60-second ad about housing. Does it hit the spot? You'll hear it next on The James Show. News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Hey there, welcome to The James Show. News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Well, a new campaign ad just dropped. It's from Kamala Harris, and she's talking about the high cost of housing and renting and buying and whatever, and she's going to fix that just as soon as she gets in office.
For most of my childhood, we were renters. My mother saved for well over a decade to buy a home. I was a teenager when that day finally came, and I can remember so well how excited she was. I know what home ownership means, and sadly right now it is out of reach for far too many American families. During the foreclosure crisis, I took on the big banks who exploited people in the housing market. And today, corporate landlords buy hundreds of houses and apartments, then turn them around and rent them out at extremely high prices. I will fight for a law that cracks down on these practices. We will end America's housing shortage by building 3 million new homes and rentals. We should be doing everything we can to make it more affordable to buy a home, not less. I'm Kamala Harris, and I approve this message.
All right, a couple of things to clean up there. So she talks about how her poor mom had to work and save for years, and she didn't actually own her home until Kamala was a teenager because the housing policies here, they need to be fixed, and it's and she knows exactly what you went through. It's so tough. Well, hang on a second now. Number one, you're talking about when you lived in Montreal. So no, that's not our housing situation. You don't know what we went through. When you were a kid, you're talking about buying a house in another country. Almost said that backwards. And also your mom wasn't some poor, struggling single mom who was just trying to put food on the table, working 3 jobs, not getting any help. Your mom has a PhD. And at the time, she was working in a research lab studying like progesterone or whatever. She's trying to cure breast cancer. So, just a doctor running around in a lab coat trying to scrape by. So she doesn't, it's so put upon, why can't you be proud? We didn't have a problem like you people did. My mom luckily was a doctor and my dad was the tenured professor at Berkeley during that time. Now he was in a different country, of course, but why does she have to pretend like she struggled? Why does she have to pretend like, it was a hard time? Boy, I know exactly what you're going through. Really? Because your mom probably made twice what my mom made. My mom and dad put together made. They were not studying to cure cancer. Your mom is very well educated, PhD in endocrinology, and half the people don't even know what endocrinology means. You think I'm kidding? Go ask a random person on the sidewalk. But then also, she's like, we need to do anything it takes to bring down the cost of housing. Okay, so you're going to lower taxes? You talk about all these big corporations that buy up all these houses and rent them out. What happens when you jack up their taxes? When you put the top tax rate at 70%, like you proposed? The corporate tax rate goes up from, 21 to 28%? In the past, she's been cool with it being 35, which is what it was up until Trump. Is that going to bring the price of houses down? The people that rent you your house, if you make them pay more taxes, what are they going to have to do to make the same amount of money, to get the same return on investment? Oh, that's right. They're going to have to charge you more. Oh, that's right. In fact, I know. You want to get rid of some of the taxes in the meantime, like the tax on the lumber and the tax on the concrete and the income tax for all the workers. And you don't want to lower taxes. You don't want to lower tariffs. That would actually bring costs down. So what do you want to do to bring costs down? I don't get this. What is in your plan that would bring down the cost of housing? You're going to take money from one person and give it to another person. That's not bringing down the cost. That's redistributing the cost. That's you picking a winner and a loser. I don't know. And I'm not saying this is a rhetorical question. I really don't know. I really don't know if she has one policy that would lower the cost of housing. But she wants to build, what was it, 3 million houses? What do you mean, the government build them? Oh, that's a great idea. Yes, let's nationalize our housing industry because nationalizing industries works so well every other time it's tried. Yeah, what a great plan. But there's no specifics there, and that's fine. There's no doubt that we do need 3 million more houses. But if you want to spur investment, if you want to spur the building of houses, someone has to come up with a couple $100,000, maybe $300,000 of unused capital that's liquid to start these investments. You are going to have less of that capital if you take it away and give it to the government. These people, these businesses, these evil rich people, these successful punks that go out and they make hundreds of thousands, they make millions of dollars. We've got to punish them. Well, look, if you leave, like if you take an extra $500,000 from the rich guy down the street, guess what he's not going to do? Build a house, whether he wants to or not. Now, if you left him that $500,000, maybe he would, maybe he wouldn't, but you can guarantee he's not going to build any houses. And it seems to be one of the first things that I've noticed my friends and people who are just adjacent to me, when they get to a certain level of wealth, beyond what just sustains them and their luxuries, was one of the first side businesses most rich people get into. Yeah, rental industries. There's a guy I've known in radio for the last 25 years. And I knew him before I was in radio, and he was already in radio. He finally made some money. You know what he did? He got a rental house. Yeah, and that's what he does. When he wants to go on the vacation with his family, they go to the rental place in Broken Bow. The rest of the year, he rents it out. Now, if you took the extra money that he had, no one should have more than X amount of dollars, then he wouldn't be able to do that. My brother-in-law does that. My brother-in-law makes money, turns around, builds houses, sells them. As a side job. He's just a freelance general contractor. If you took his excess income, he wouldn't be able to do that anymore. So you can't have it both ways. Either you're going to punish the people who have the capital to build houses, or you're going to have more housing, but you can't have both. But it just goes along with the economic ignorance that undercuts most of her policies. And if you have a constituency that knows next to jack squat about economics, why would they question it? These people won't question mask outside. These people won't question a vaccine that doesn't work. They won't question being locked out of their school and their work and church. There's a lot of people that just go along with it. Why? Because I don't know. How much of this can be blamed on they've just been trained to hate Trump so much that it doesn't matter what she says? Because here's another example of that. Coming up next, we're going to talk to Anthony Russo from the Truth Will Set You Free podcast. And we're going to preview the debate. And I'm going to ask you, let's go ahead and do this now. What words do I need to add to the bingo card for this debate? I mentioned that earlier, and I already got 3 good suggestions. Joy, weird, and then Ann added in unburden. That's what do you think should be on the next bingo card? 800-288-9227. 800-288-9227. I'm James Parker. It's The James Show. News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Hey there, all you beautiful Texans. Welcome back to The James Show. It's News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Let's go. Before we jump into my next guest, Anthony Russo from the Truth Will Set You Free podcast, I was taking word suggestions. You could just leave them as like a comment on the Facebook page or whatever, because I'm making another set of bingo cards for the debate that's happening September 10th. So far, we have, we're going to add to the bingo cards that I used in June. I'm going to add joy, unburden, weird. So those are all good. There was another recommendation that we have a cackle in there. That's pretty good. Mamie says we should add convicted felon. Corey says we should add, what do you say, Corey? What do we need to add? This is Corey in Lone Oak. You're on the James Show. What do we need to add?
Hi. How about I'm speaking?
I'm speaking. See, this is that I didn't think of that. That's perfect, because with the unmuted microphones, that's going to be the issue, and she's going to act like she's being treated unfairly because Donald Trump's such a hateful person. I don't know if it's because I'm a woman or a person of color, but I'm speaking. Excuse me. I'm speaking. Totally happening. Great suggestion. That's exactly what I'm looking for. Thank you, Corey.
You're welcome.
Mamie in Grand Prairie, did I get it right? You wanted to add convicted felon?
Yes. And of course, she will be Googling. And let me throw this in. I'm a black female voting for Trump.
Oh! You are going to cause a glitch in the Matrix, Mamie. To be fair, convicted felon was already on the bingo card from the June debate, but it'll stay on there. You're right. That needs to stay on there because that probably will be said again. Thank you very much, Mamie.
All right.
All right, that's Mamie in Grand Prairie. Now to my guest. Anthony Russo's back on from the Truth Will Set You Free podcast. So looks like we're going to have a debate September 10th, and the other ones aren't promised, Anthony. Is this going to be the only debate?
I hope not. For Trump's sake, I hope not. I think for America's sake and being able to have a fair ability to choose who is going to be their president, I would hope that we have more than one debate. But as of right now, this is the only one in the books. I think it's fascinating that Kamala's camp was trying to get notes and seated. It's just absolutely absurd, the level of weakness that comes out from the side that's supposedly in the lead.
Well, there was also the sort of bragging a couple weeks ago. Oh, looks like somebody's scared to debate me. Looks like Trump's trying to back out of the debate because he knows he's going to lose. What happened to that?
Yeah, I don't know, because he immediately, within 2 or 3 days, his first response was, hey, I was supposed to be debating Joe Biden. As of right now, you're not even the presidential candidate, which at the time she wasn't. And then immediately when it became clear that she had the delegates, he goes, all right, here's my 3. Let's do it. And she immediately backed off. Talking about calling a bluff. I don't understand the fact that if she was this illustrious prosecutor and lawyer and brilliant woman, why she'd be afraid to debate little old mean yellow orange man Trump that can't use his words and is dementia ridden just like Joe Biden. I don't understand. It doesn't make sense.
Yeah, he's old. He's declining. He's barely together. Then why are you scared to debate him? Why do you need notes? Why do you need to sit down? Why do you? So look, I got a guy right here. Milton on Facebook says, Lord, she will demolish Trump knowing he's not disciplined. There's people that don't see it the way we see it, Anthony.
Well, I will say, so you mentioned, so I heard before in the news brief, and then you said it, and what I've seen is that, and you said it the opposite way, are the mics going to be cut or are they going to be open? What is the current decision that was made?
So the current decision is they are not going to be muted.
So they're not going to be muted. So what I will say is I would appreciate if Trump continued the way that he was able to stop talking before, because the personal attacks, even if he demolishes her in the debate, it'll look like a loss if he continues to speak over her. Let her dig her own grave. Let her continue to say unburdened based on the drinking game and the bingo squares, aka drinking game that you guys have set up. You will be blackout, annihilated, wasted, or just fill a bunch of bingo cards by the time it's over if you let her continue to speak. Because she will say all of those things in repetition without any actual platform or plan on what she's going to do. And I want to talk real quick about the notes, like you said. The fact is, this is going to be the most biased debate Trump has had to be in, with George Snuffleupagus being the moderator. And if you don't think that they would have given her notes beforehand so that she could perfectly have her answers written with bullet points, you're on some things that some additional supplements that you probably don't need to be on, because I will tell you they would have cheated that one all the way to the top.
Well, so maybe we shouldn't be so dismissive of our commenter Milton over here, because, Trump being undisciplined and doing ad hominem attacks, he could come off of this worse than a lot of Trump people expect.
I agree. And that's the one thing I don't discount the fact that Trump is going to, in enemy territory, hostile territory, that he is not going to have to have a great day. He's going to have to perform better than he's ever performed. Not that Kamala is a formidable opponent, but all of the settings are against him. All of the circumstances are against him. So he will have to perform at his highest level. He can't have the same performance he had against Joe Biden. He has to go to the next level because of essentially the stakes that are there, because this could be the one. If she performs well, there will not be another debate, period. He has to bury her, to force her to continue to bumble and fumble through all of her statements.
Well, this is going to be fun. I can't wait. Anthony Russo, what are y'all talking about on your podcast these days?
Tonight, we were supposed to have Democrats. We had real-life Democrats ready to talk tonight, and it sounds like they've backed out about 4 hours before the show. But we are going to be talking a little bit about RFK tonight. We're going to be talking about Tulsi Gabbard, and we're going to be talking about the Democrats, going wild all of a sudden for Trump, and talking about what that means and some of the statements made about why you still can't go with RFK's direction, even if you're a big RFK supporter. We're going to try to cut through the lies and talk some truth.
Interesting. I'm having the same issue. We have Democrats that we invite on the show, and almost all of them have backed out. There's one guy that's the president of the Democrats party of Tarrant County. He's the only one that's come on. The rest of them, some of them will schedule and just back out or not answer the phone when it's time to come on. So we've had this similar problem, Anthony. It
happens. Who's the guy in the comments? Tell the guy in the comments. Truth will set you free, USA. Send me a direct message. Come on the show tonight, 7 o'clock. Tonight's a little bit later because we planned it for the Democrat. 7 o'clock Central Time is when we were going to do it. So
Milton.
Feeling frisky.
Milton, if you're still there, find Anthony Russo on the Truth Will Set You Free podcast. Thank you very much.
Take it easy.
Cheyenne Barnes adds the word calamity. It's a solid maybe. I'll have to think about that. Maybe calamity should be on there. And I like the way you spell Cheyenne, weirdos. Coming up next, my favorite story of the day, the week, the month, not quite the year, but there's a Seattle suburb where a fella put up a pride flag. And so the neighbor put up a sign that says, "My neighbor loves butt stuff." Controversy ensues. We'll talk about that in 5 minutes on The James Show. News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Hey there, all you beautiful Texans. Welcome back to The James Show. It's News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Let's go. All right, man. It's interesting to see how I can get text messages and Facebook messages and an email before the news items get put up. But we do have a little bit of movement here on the setup for the debate. My next guest might have a little something to say about that. Presley Baker, she's a political commentator from the Casual Critics. We've had her on the show before, and she did great, so we're having her back. And, this news has already changed like twice since the show started. What's the deal with the debates? Are they going to be standing up? Are they going to be sitting down? Are they going to have notes? Are they not going to have notes? Are they going to have... Do we even know the rules, the muted mic and all that stuff? Are you caught up on this?
So from what I've read so far, the Trump campaign and the Harris campaign have both agreed to the same rules as the June debate with President Biden, which I honestly think is a great thing if you're Donald Trump, even though I know he wanted the mics on. But let's be honest, that would probably not be a good idea, considering I'm sure he has about 11 insults already ready to be queued up and hurl at Kamala Harris that may not all involve policy. And we saw how well he did with the muted mics against Joe Biden. So I think that that's a good thing for Donald Trump.
Okay. So the muted microphone, he probably thinks that he wants them unmuted, but I think you're right. The more we temper this guy, it's just the opposite. Like if we could get him to talk less, that would probably be good for his campaign. And then
definitely.
And then over here, you have Kamala Harris, who's just not talking. She's not doing interviews. She's not doing press conferences. She's not answering questions. So, man, what a tale of two different candidates.
So I just read about 3 minutes ago that her and Tim Walz are going to be sitting down with CNN on Thursday for their first interview as running mates. So I'm sure that'll be quite interesting. Although I do have to say the last time I saw Kamala Harris get interviewed on CNN was right after the Biden presidential the presidential debate with President Biden, and Anderson Cooper kind of grilled her, which I thought was very unexpected. But I thought she handled herself well, so I think this will be a very interesting week to see how that turns out.
So the debate will be stand-up. The candidates cannot bring notes or cheat sheets. Okay, that's according to Trump on Truth Social.
Yes.
So who does that favor?
I think that favors Trump. I think that it shows that he's going to know the policy points that he needs to say, like he did in the debate with President Biden. I thought he focused mainly on policy in that. He didn't focus on Biden stuttering and Biden having gaffes and Biden as a person as much as he had done back in 2020. And I thought that showed that he knew what he was talking about in terms of policy and that he knew what he wanted to accomplish. And I think what we've seen with Kamala Harris over the past 3.5 years is that she doesn't know the policy points. She'll repeat things constantly, and she'll repeat things like she's trying to explain it to a fifth grader or a fourth grader, because that's apparently how it was explained to her.
Yes, Ukraine's a country and Russia's another country.
Right, exactly.
Okay, it doesn't say anything about the live audience. Do we know anything about that one, Presley?
I haven't heard anything about that one yet, but I don't think that would be a bad or a good thing for Donald Trump. I think it'll just basically shape the feel of the debate more so than his answers, because Trump's an entertainer. He plays well to an audience, so I'm not too worried about that one affecting him.
So there were supposed to be 3 debates. Kamala says she's not doing the Fox News one, and while she calls Trump chicken. And then the one that's after that's supposed to be on NBC, she hasn't agreed to that one either. Is there a chance we could just have one debate here?
I think there is. I think if she survives this debate without making a total fool of herself like President Biden unfortunately did, then I don't think that her campaign will allow her to get on the stage again with Donald Trump. I think that this will be one and done.
Interesting. So we're making bingo cards for the debate again. It worked so well when it happened in June. Here's a couple of the words that we're going to switch out and add this time around. Joy, weird, unburdened. There's going to be a square for a cackle. Convicted felon was already on there, but that was someone said make sure that's still on there. I like this one, school bus. That might show up. Yeah. Also the word calamity, which seems random, but I think that might get shoved in there. And then the term I'm speaking. We expect her to tell Trump, I'm speaking at some point. Do you have any additions to that?
That was a great line that somebody wrote for her back in the 2020 vice presidential debate, and it definitely sparked some interest, but I mean, it was clearly a written line, and I think we'll get a ton more of those. I don't know, maybe you could add coconut tree to that, because I think she'll make a joke about all the memes that have been circulating from her supporters on TikTok and Twitter and everything else.
Well, this may be the only time she really gets challenged between now and the election. This interview that she's doing before the end of the month, that's something that she kind of painted herself into, because that she was asked like the first week of August, you haven't done any press availabilities, you haven't done any press conferences, haven't done any interviews. When do you plan on doing that? Oh, no, we're going to do one before the end of the month. Dude, that was like 3 weeks ago. And so she's just now having to do that. And I don't expect that to be challenging at all. This is going to be the least vetted candidate in our lifetime.
Well, they're doing that on purpose. They're really trying to keep her out of the public eye because the long story short is that she's not a likable candidate, and that's her biggest problem. That's why they pick somebody like Tim Walz, who feels like a more likable politician than Kamala Harris as her running mate. And, you know, the whole Joy thing, going back to that from the Democratic convention, I thought that I read something in the New York Times by Patrick Healy that I thought was a very good point, which is what he said, that Obama didn't coast on hope to win, and she can't coast on joy to win. And Obama spent 2 straight years campaigning, talking to the press, talking to people, and hitting the road, and she has this very limited timeline to do so. So, like you said, you're only going to hear from her 2 or 3 times, and the Democratic establishment's going to keep painting her as their savior, and they're praying it works, but I don't see how it can.
All right, what's coming up on the next episode of The Casual Critics?
Well, we talked a little bit about sports and politics, so me and Dallas, we're going to talk about CeeDee Lamb signing, but, you know, we're also going to go into the debate, and now we're leaning into the last 70 or so days of the election, and 14 days out of the debate, we'll probably go into what they're going to ask Trump and Kamala, and basically what they're going to argue about the most. And I think that'll probably be abortion.
All right. Thank you very much. This is Presley Baker from The Casual Critics. You can find her where you're listening to podcasts, or they have a whole YouTube channel as well. Thank you very much, Presley.
Thanks for having me back.
All right. Your thoughts, 800-288-9227, 800-288-9227. Do you feel like these rules are really going to help or hurt either candidate? 800-288-9227. I'm James Parker. It's News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3.